In the future, everybody rock the dinosaur.
Dino, rock the dino ball Z.
Alright, guys. So,
Welcome back, Space Cadets, to Hal Dave's trip to Jupiter with more dinosaurs than ever before. Also, I don't know if it picks up on the microphone or not, but the sound of torrential rain on the rooftops.
Torrential rain, the greatest rain.
Alright, so we've entered the Tyranno lair.
We're just gonna kill Reptile here.
Yeah.
Reptile, the best Mortal Kombat character, clearly.
Man, I can't even comment. I have literally never played Mortal Kombat.
Oh, shoot.
You just got a lot of stuff.
New text. So, let's see.
Well, nah, cause my mom was one of those moms who she understood the ESRB rating system, and so she wouldn't let me play games like Mortal Kombat, which I'm sure is great for the ESRB because their system actually works.
To be fair, as long as you pay attention and know it, which I don't know why you wouldn't nowadays, but...
Oh no, man! There are so many parents who have no understanding of the ESRB rating system.
Well, it's kind of one of those things that just like
they buy their kids a game with like M for mature, and they're like, "Why is there so much blood in this game?" And it's like, you didn't look at the box at all, did you?
No, they didn't. Even though a game is like called Doom or something.
Doom, where you go fight literal demons from hell.
Yeah. It's the apes and the frog. I guess he's a frog ape?
Yeah, no, like, I remember having this moment as a kid. I was at, like, a Walmart, and I was watching a parent buy, like, an N64, and they were going to buy a game for their kid. And they were trying to choose between Super Mario 64 and Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Oh, God.
And they chose Conker's Bad Fur Day. Why? Because it was, like, cheaper.
Yeah.
And because... I think that game didn't sell nearly as well as Mario 64. So its price got marked down at Walmart. And I remember thinking, like, oh man, that's not right, because this kid that she's buying for looked like he was like 8 years old.
And they didn't know what he was in for.
Yeah, they were like, oh, it's got a cartoon squirrel on it.
Isla! Kino, get back! Isla, save you!
Oh no, saying girl, it's not working for you. Now they're both on the inside.
Sorry, Isla, all Kino's fault. Isla.
Whoa, she did it.
I
really thought that, like, you know, Luca would come out and, like, hit the switch and be like, dumbass. But yeah, really. I think that the rating system... So the ESRB exists because the games industry wanted to police itself. Because having government intervention would have been way worse. And so it kind of makes me sad when, like, parents or people in general just, like, they don't bother to pay attention to it or understand it. Because, and then, like, it's that kind of thinking that makes it where, like, whenever something bad happens in the world, that people are like, oh, blame video games, they're violent. It's like, no, video games have long since issued warnings for themselves to explain themselves. Basically.
Well, it's also the fact is, like, you know, a lot of games have ratings nowadays, and it's, I don't know. It always bugs me because let me put it this way, as a comics fan, you won't find an industry that got hit by ratings guardians or moral guardians more than the comic book industry.
Right. I mean, all we're seeing these days with, like, video games is that same thing where it's like, you kids these days with your rock and roll and your 8-track tapes. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You know, whatever the next medium is, you know, I know, virtual reality or something that's going to come out, and suddenly, like, video games are going to be, like, the old school thing, and there's going to be a new thing, and the next generation of old people are just going to be like, oh, you kids these days with your VR ruining everything. And that's all it's going to be. We're just having a particular jump here because there is a very pronounced gap between the older generation of people who don't understand technology and the generation that does.
To be fair, it's kind of like, my dad had this issue with himself as well a little while ago, believe it or not. So, as weird as it sounds, my dad didn't think I actually knew how to use email at one point.
Right.
And
okay.
he basically, even though I've been using email for about 2 years at that point.
How old were you?
Well, okay. No, hold it. I was using
Sorry,
email since middle school. I was 20.
What? I was gonna say, you've been using email for a long time at that point.
Yeah. Sorry, it was one of those things of, like, I was confused at my age for a second. Ooh, new dual tech.
He's so old, he doesn't know how old he is.
Well, it's like when you spend time with your dad and you know the things he told
It
you.
ages you.
Yes.
Well, okay, like, I've literally watched, not naming who they are, not naming names, but I've had family members who have at times just, like, burst into tears out of frustration with technology that was ultimately very basic stuff like email, and because they just simply did not understand what was going on or how to work it. Whereas for, I'm sure, a lot of us, this is just second nature.
At this point, yeah, no, my dad just thought I didn't know how to do it, or he was wondering why I didn't always look at my email, because at that time I was mostly texting with friends. And email is still used, hell,
I see the use of email in official capacities, where, like, you need to have a message that's going to stick around as, like, an official correspondence, but otherwise, like, you know, just text away.
Yeah.
Facebook Messenger, Snapchat, whatever. There are definitely some conversations that I wish Snapchat had saved. Because I really want to know what I said in certain circumstances.
You're not wrong. I can actually understand that.
Yeah. But, it's really interesting, the gulf of... The gulf. The gap. The massive gap between... Wait, what's... Oh, we're fighting more guys. The gap between the older generations who just, like, they don't understand modern technology. They don't understand smartphones. They don't understand, like, emails and computers and such. And I feel like I've been dealing with it a lot lately, just because I've got some family members where one of them... Whoa, what's going on? She just, belly slammed those guys. Well, as I was saying, like, I've got some family members where, like, essentially, like, a mom doesn't understand her child. Where the mom has, like, zero understanding of technology and has no idea how her child is communicating with all these different people online.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a problem, because said child, like, just became a teenager and is ripe for getting into trouble with these things.
Oh, yeah. No. I was always very cautious of people in general, so I just learned good net etiquette at a very early age.
I mean, like, you and I feel like kind of grew up in that phase where, like, the internet was evolving in front of us, and so we kind of evolved with it, where, like, things weren't quite as advanced as they are now, where you can just so readily communicate with everyone. And so, like, as a result, we were able to grow with it, and we were able to learn how to be cautious about it. Whereas a lot of kids these days, growing up, like, you see, like, 10-year-olds with smartphones, and they can just talk to any crazy person they want to on any of these sites. I don't know, like Instagram, wherever.
Yeah.
And they have no... Wait, what's happened?
Oh.
I'm going off on this internet tangent right here, and you're getting lost in this castle.
Yeah, well, it happens. But now...
I guess we're both lost, technically. Haha!
Are we all lost, or have we found...
all lost. Yeah, well, I mean, the point being is that, like, you know, nowadays, if you have a smartphone, you have access to so much stuff, and it's so easy to just, like, communicate with everyone. Did she just go Super Saiyan?
Yeah, no, I gave her the power of electricity to bite things with it.
She has the power!
Meanwhile, Frog is just going to do his leap attack. For great justice.
Yeah, no, like, just bringing it back around, it's just like, there's just, like, you have so much access to stuff, but they don't have any, like, responsibility about how to use that power.
Holy crud, I'm getting a lot of tech points.
So, long story short, don't give smartphones to cavemen.
Yeah, or else the world will be destroyed.
Although, what was it? There was that show that was like stuck in another world with my smartphone. I've never seen it.
Trapped in another world with my smartphone.
Yeah, it sounded stupid, but
it's
like. My thought is like, wait a minute. So if you were in a world where you're the only creature that has a smartphone, wouldn't your smartphone just run out of power and die, and you'd have no connections to anything because there's no internet?
I wonder. You know, that's kind of dumb because it's like one of those things.
It's super dumb.
It's just like it treats it as like it would be this amazing experience, but the problem with there's a couple problems of having a smartphone in another world. It needs, first of all, power.
Well, yeah, you're gonna run out of power after like the first day or two.
But there's also another factor that people don't usually
Unless you shift into power saving mode, then you might last for a little while longer.
But there's one aspect like they never talk about, and this is
no cell network.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. Is like, if you went to like a fantasy world with a smartphone, it'd be useless because there's no cell phone towers or network to support it.
Literally, the only way that would work.
Communications device only work when there's something to communicate with.
The only way it would work is if the author bullshitted it up. That's what
I mean, it was a light novel. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm speaking as someone where the entire isekai genre escapes me.
You're not the only one.
Because, like, my thing about it is, like, the idea of, like, traditional Japanese high school student, because it's always that. It is always a Japanese high school student gets trapped in another world that is, like, based on JRPG physics. It's, like, to me, it's more like, why do you need to have that step? Why do you need to have that JRPG person, or that Japanese person who gets stuck in another world? Why do you not just tell a story about that other world?
Because that way you can self-insert into it.
I mean, that's the only thing, really. It's because otherwise, to me, it's like you should make a story about a person who lives in this world and then develop them as a character and show how they evolve, as opposed to self-inserting.
Well, that's always why I prefer fantasy.
The isekai genre has literally been banned from... I forget what it was, what publication it was.
It was banned so much that it was just because everybody was doing it.
Yeah, everybody was doing it, where, like, Japanese kid, another world, go. It got banned from, like, whatever contest that produced, like, new light novels. And so they can't do that anymore. They've killed their own genre by oversaturation.
Well, that's kind of like the thing. Like, isekai... At this point, you can probably classify isekai into, like, mecha genres to an extent as well.
Man, I want mecha to come back, though, because, like, we haven't... When's the last time we got, like, a good new mech show?
Depends if you like Darling in the Franxx or not.
I hear that it's good for, like, half the show, and then terrible after that. I haven't watched it. Can't really say, honestly.
I think it has some good ideas, but...
Friends, Romans, acquaintances, let me know if it's good.
Let me feel it this way. People are going to have... But there's one I'm enjoying because I really want to see what the creator does with it. Is Planet With?
What?
Alright. So let me tell you about this creator who is...
Ooh, okay, so also Triceratons come back.
So
Liefeld the Second.
So I'm gonna just electrify Ayla to fight him.
I mean, she is pretty electrifying, honestly.
And Frog slash for great justice.
For everlasting peace.
For everlasting peace.
Nunny.
Alrighty. Volt Bite. And heal.
Hey, look at how beefy he is.
I kind of love it. He's like a Rob Liefeld dinosaur. He's everything I want.
He's a Rob Liefeld. It's true. Well, okay, so what's really funny about the whole thing is that he's got muscles laid out like a human.
Yeah.
He is a reptile. Enough said. But really, like, whenever I try to think of like fantasy creatures, so the ultimate goal of when you're making fantasy is to try to make it like you try to sell it, to try to make it believable to the viewer. And so when you do something like this, it's like really campy or cheesy because it's like he's a species, he's a creature that shouldn't have muscles built like that, but he does because he's a creature that was designed by humans.
Yeah, basically. But here's the thing why I also compare it to Rob Liefeld. The feet.
Minimalistic and barely detailed.
Yes.
Rob Liefeld hates drawn feet.
It's true. Now time to electrify Ayla again.
But yeah, really, like, that's why I give credit to, like, some more, like, recent fantasy games or movies that really pay attention to the details and make their monsters behave more like animals. Monster Hunter really comes to mind, where a lot of their creatures are really well designed and feel like they've been looking at real-world animals when they created them.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, like, certain, like, dragon-like or wyvern creatures, they move like birds do. Or, like, birds of prey. Complete with, like, reverse-jointed legs and everything. And that makes sense, because that fits with something that exists in nature, but they've extrapolated into something fantastical. Whereas this is just, like, straight up like, oh, we took human stuff and threw it together and whatever. But, hey, that's Akira Toriyama for you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Classic manga artist that he is. I mean, I love it. I love all these things. I used to be a lot more like
cynical about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot more like uptight about it. Whereas like things must be this realistic and this detailed and whatever.
To be fair, everybody has that phase.
That was Hal as a cynical teenager probably right after he watched Ava.
Of course.
Yeah, it was definitely a show where I was like, oh man, this is like way more sophisticated than other stuff, or so I thought. Took me a little while to learn to just have fun with things. So that was a legit boss right there, Liefeld too.
Yeah. And we level up.
I didn't expect that.
Well, then thankfully, I can now get back to here.
Alright, so what, we beat Vegas, we got thrown through space and time, get thrown to unnatural selection.
Yeah.
Alright, space cadets. What on earth could possibly await us in the future after we use this shelter?
Stop Saurian genocide.
Yeah, I think we have to choose the mammals.
Yeah.
Will mammals win? Will dinosaurs succeed? Who will survive? Next time on Hal and Dave's Trip to Jupiter.
Spoiler, history.